My name is Bob. I work as a janitor at the supermarket. Though I graduated from a prestigious university, due to various circumstances, I ended up working this part-time cleaning job. It's a shame, especially after graduating from such a good college. Yet, there are others like me, but I didn't mind this job where I could immediately see the results of my labor. The places I've cleaned look marvelous. I feel a sense of fulfillment looking at them. One day, while working as usual, a woman approached with loud footsteps. She was furiously scratching her head, clearly in a bad mood. Her name is Catherine, a skilled and beautiful department head from one of our suppliers. She's a talk of the town at my workplace. Catherine is said to be very competent but has quite the sharp tongue. If she realizes you are below her, she'd look down on you or ridicule you, which is why I never got along with her. Oh boy, here comes trouble. I hope nothing bad happens. Thinking this, I tried to avoid her by moving to a corner of the hallway. But for some reason, Catherine came closer, seemingly to tease me. Cleaning, huh? Seems like the perfect job for life's losers, she sneered. I am used to such comments, so I just forced a smile and brushed it off. Maybe feeling a bit better, Catherine started walking away. Well, today wasn't so bad after all. I thought to myself, relieved, but then, the unexpected happened. Catherine tripped over some cleaning equipment nearby, almost falling. She yelled at me. Why the heck is there cleaning equipment here? What if I had gotten hurt? I thought she was the one at fault for not looking where she was going, but pointing that out would have just added fuel to the fire. I apologized, saying I'm sorry. But her anger didn't subside. I'm sorry, don't you mean? I deeply apologize. Don't belittle me just because I'm a woman. With that, she threw her drink onto the floor. Iced coffee splattered everywhere, and the commotion drew a crowd of employees. Oh no, this is getting out of hand because of me. But I was too flustered to do anything. With no sign of the situation cooling down, a coworker who saw everything went to call the store manager. The manager hurriedly came, listened to the story, and tried to calm Catherine down. But she showed no sign of remorse. On the contrary, she snapped at him about the employees' lack of training and threatened to end the business dealings with the store. Catherine's company supplies about 40% of the packaging materials used in our store at the lowest price in the area. Ending the contract with her company would increase our store's costs by several tens of thousands of dollars annually. Knowing this, Catherine remained firm. The soft-spoken manager kept bowing his head, trying to defuse the situation. I didn't agree with it either, but I apologized to her with the manager, and she left for the day. One holiday, I visited my grandma's house. Given the continuous hot days, I brought her cold treats and fruits. With a smile, she said thank you and accepted them graciously. When I was a kid, visiting my grandma's house during summer breaks was a tradition in our family. I always looked forward to going to her place, eagerly awaiting that day every year. At Grandma's, I used to play by the river, catch bugs with local kids. Catching a big beetle stands out in my memory. However, the area where my grandma lives has become increasingly depopulated. Nowadays, it's rare to see children around. Most of the neighboring houses are vacant, and nobody lives there anymore. That house has become vacant too. Seeing the empty houses makes me feel lonely. But the sunset I saw when leaving was as beautiful as it always was. This comforted me, and I headed home. On another day, while working my part-time job at the supermarket, Catherine approached. I had a feeling trouble was brewing. I hoped it wouldn't be like the last time. With that thought, I quickly moved the cleaning supplies to a corner. I wouldn't repeat my previous mistake. However, when she got closer, Catherine stared at me and began berating. There's something filthy about janitors. Aren't you embarrassed to do this kind of work, despite being a man? I was so taken aback by her rudeness that I was rendered speechless. Just then, some top executives who were there for a store inspection overheard our conversation. Don't know who you are, but that's quite a way to talk to our employees, aren't you, being a woman, also working in sales? Unaware that one of them was the CEO, Catherine snapped back. What's wrong about being a woman? Working in sales has nothing to do with being either a man or a woman, you know. Don't act like you know everything. I was shocked at her words. She had just said, despite being a man, to me. The store manager rushed over, looking flustered. Mr. Smith, thank you for your visit on this hot day. Oh, Catherine, you're here too. The manager introduced Catherine and CEO. It seemed Catherine didn't realize he was the CEO, and she looked taken aback. While Catherine was at a loss for words in shock, the CEO gently admonished her. You shouldn't say things to others that you wouldn't want said to you. It's not right to judge people based on their occupation. Besides, Bob here, while working his janitorial job, is also making social contributions. We fully support his initiatives, and we collaborate with the local government in backing his efforts. You see, while working my janitorial job, I had started an NPO to address community issues. The NPO that I started provides shopping assistance in depopulating areas. My grandma was the one who inspired me to do this. I graduated from a prestigious university and landed a job at a major trading company, which was my first choice. Traveling the world and making a difference was my dream. But the demanding nature of the job overwhelmed me, and I quit after just 6 months. This wasn't how it was supposed to end up. Having never faced any significant setbacks before, this was my first real failure. Feeling utterly defeated, I secluded myself in my room. My mom, worried about my reclusive behavior, told me to at least deliver some groceries to Grandma's. Her house, located in the mountains, was quite far from the town. Shopping there was a hassle, so my mom would buy supplies in bulk and deliver them once a week. With nothing else going on in my life, I figured I should at least help out with that. Feeling somewhat better after a while, I took on the task. It felt wrong to keep hiding away. Every time I delivered the groceries, my grandma would greet me with a big smile and thank me. Overwhelmed by the demanding work and having lost my confidence, those words meant the world to me. It made me realize that even I could make a difference. Because of this newfound joy, I started visiting my grandmother's house nearly every day. As I visited her more often, I also started interacting more with her neighbors. At first, it was just casual greetings, but soon we began having longer conversations. One day, a neighbor said, "If it's not too much trouble, could you do some shopping for me too?" They were suggesting I shop for them as well while getting items for my grandmother. Most people in this area have their own cars. However, as they age, driving becomes a concern, and carrying heavy groceries can be a challenge. Lifting a heavy bags into and out of a car can indeed be strenuous. I decided to help out within my capacity. Around that time, I had started a part-time job to support myself. I was working in janitorial services at a supermarket, a job I continue to this day. I couldn't leech off my parents forever. So, I decided to start with a part-time gig. Despite my job, I continued assisting with shopping during my days off or after work. I wanted to see everyone happy. Although it was physically draining, the gratitude I received kept me motivated, enabling me to push through the fatigue. Then, one day, while I was off and doing my usual bulk shopping at my workplace, the manager approached me. "Bob, you're off today, right? Why are you buying so much?" The manager had noticed my frequent large purchases and was curious. I explained how I was assisting my grandmother and her neighbors with shopping. The manager then praised my actions, expressing admiration for my initiative. He is usually reserved, so I was genuinely surprised by his appreciation. As I was leaving, the manager handed me a beverage, saying, "Here, take this." Given the scorching day, the cold drink was a godsend. I thanked the manager and accepted the drink. I was deeply touched by his thoughtful gesture. About a month later, after finishing my shift, the manager called me into his office. Alone in the room, the atmosphere felt tense. "I have a bad feeling about this. Is the company facing issues? Are they going to let me go?" My anxiety was palpable. As I braced myself for his words, the manager made an unexpected proposition. "Bob, have you considered starting an NPO to assist with shopping?" An NPO? I was relieved, realizing he wasn't firing me. However, the idea of launching an NPO was far from my expectations. I never expected to hear such words from the manager. The manager had mentioned my shopping assistance to the CEO during a casual chat. The CEO was impressed and said, "Why not turn it into a business? I'll provide support." The CEO's own mother lived alone in a remote area and faced similar challenges with shopping. She wishes there was a store closer to home. It seems the CEO felt the same frustration hearing similar concerns from his mother. So, when he heard my story, he suggested starting an NPO. Indeed, having the company's support is a blessing. But can someone like me really do it? I left the company I joined right after college in just 6 months. I've never really worked a proper job, and now I'm supposed to start a business. I confided my feelings to the manager. Then the manager told me, "Everyone has doubts in the beginning. It might be tough, but I'll help as much as I can. Let's give it our best shot." Encouraged by the manager's words, I still had concerns, but thinking of my grandmother and the folks in the neighborhood, I felt determined to at least try. One of the requirements for establishing an NPO is comprised of at least 10 members. So, the first step was gathering people. With help from various individuals, I managed to recruit volunteers. There were many other things needed for the establishment. The application process was difficult, filled with unfamiliar procedures. I wished it could have been simpler, especially creating the necessary documents. There were so many documents, filled with complex terms that made it a struggle. Somehow, I completed the paperwork, submitted it, and anxiously awaited the review. After a while, we got the approval, and everyone hugged, shedding tears of joy. We've only just reached the starting line, but just getting here was a relief. Once we started our shopping assistant service, its popularity spread through word of mouth. People were grateful to have their heavy groceries delivered home. Many appreciated not having to spend hours shopping. With the growing positive feedback, the number of people using the service increased, leading to an expanded delivery area. Business was picking up, but I still wasn't earning enough to cover my own salary. I was barely making ends meet. I'm still not drawing a salary, so I'm working part-time here, I said with a wry smile, explaining why I continued my side job. Catherine probably never thought someone like me would be contributing to society. She blushed and looked down. Still, with her high pride, Catherine seemed unable to sincerely apologize. Reluctantly, she muttered an apology and left. As she left, Catherine muttered loud enough only for me to hear, "I bet it won't work out anyway." Why do I have to hear that? I felt anger boiling inside me because of Catherine's words. Without seeing everything, she was quick to judge. I couldn't forgive her. But with the CEO present, I couldn't show my anger. I managed to hold back my anger and express my gratitude to the CEO for mediating. He encouraged me to keep pushing forward with the business. The CEO's warm words soothed my heart. Still, my resentment towards Catherine continued to boil up. Being looked down upon just because I was a janitor and being verbally abused was unacceptable. I'll show her that even a janitor can make a difference. I was determined to do so. Since then, I worked even harder on the NPO. While doing deliveries myself, I distributed flyers to attract new members and did postal mailings. I had other office tasks and part-time jobs, and I was swamped. Man, this is never ending. While I was drowning in the paperwork I had piled up, a kind-hearted team member stepped in to help. What's more, he even helped me with bookkeeping, which I'm terrible at. Come on, Bob, don't try to do everything by yourself, you're too distant. A warm remark from the team member nearly brought tears to my eyes. I had been working tirelessly to prove myself to Catherine, but at that moment, I strongly felt that I wanted to build a great organization with these members more than anything. 6 months later, I expanded our delivery areas and no longer needed to work as a janitor at the supermarket. Our team has grown, and even though we're small, we're pretty busy. Initially, everyone volunteered, but now, even if it's not much, we can pay them a part-time wage. With wages, the staff seems more responsible, and I believe our services have improved. I had to step back from tasks like procurement to focus on running the business. So, I hadn't visited the supermarket for a while, but that day I was there to strengthen our partnership. As I was about to leave after my discussion with the manager, I unexpectedly bumped into Catherine. Memories of our previous conflict flashed through my mind, darkening my mood. Still, I managed to keep my composure and exchanged greetings. As I tried to leave quickly, Catherine stopped me. I'm sorry for the harsh words I said before. I was just so overwhelmed with frustration back then. What? I was shocked. I never thought someone as prideful as her would apologize. Catherine confessed and apologized for judging me based on my profession and looking down on janitors. She saw the hard work I was putting in and felt ashamed of her past behavior. Turns out, Catherine was going through a tough time back then. She had been harassed by people who didn't like the fact that she got promoted to department head. Especially at the company where she worked, the older ladies in the cleaning crew made some nasty comments towards her. They would say hurtful things like, "Who does she think she is?" or "A woman as a manager." This, combined with a deal that went south, led her to lash out at me. It is true that I've been receiving harsh words, but I also had preconceived notions about janitorial work being worthless. I'm truly sorry, considering it's essential for everyone's comfort. So, she had her struggles too. I was upset by Catherine's words back then, but understanding her situation now, I can't help but sympathize. It sounds like you've been through a lot. Please don't worry about it. As long as you understand, that's all that matters. I accepted her apology, and we reconciled. Keep up the hard work with your business. I'll be cheering you on. Thank you, Catherine. Keep proving that women can excel in managerial roles. She seemed surprised by my words, probably not expecting them. She probably didn't see that coming. Seeing her surprised expression made me burst into laughter. It's rare to see her not being serious. Seeing me laugh, Catherine also started laughing, and we shared a good laugh. I'm planning to provide services not only to the elderly but also to those living alone and receiving home care. If they have family who can visit them regularly, it's not a concern, but for those who can't because of certain circumstances or live far away, I think they'd benefit from some assistance. I aim to eliminate anyone's struggles with shopping. Every day, I keep striving towards that dream. Stop, let go. A voice, almost a scream, followed. Rushing towards the voice, I saw a woman, no, a girl, being held by her arm by someone in a black tracksuit. On closer inspection, she's wearing a school uniform. Hey, knock it off. I ran towards the two, forcefully making him let go of the high school girl. He clicked his tongue and ran away. Though the girl was saved, I ended up being really late for an important meeting. A few days later, when I went to the office, I was summoned to the CEO's office. "Bob, I'm thinking of sending you to one of our regional offices starting tomorrow." Even though I was late because I helped someone, the company was going to penalize me. Is this a demotion? Well, you can take it that way if you want. We can't have problematic employees here at the headquarters. You understand, right? With that said, I gave my brightest smile. "It's perfect, thank you. You can fire me instead of demoting me." What? My words left the CEO in utter shock. My name is Bob. I work at a medical device manufacturer. Ever since I was in elementary school, after my father passed away from illness, I was raised in a single-mother household. I wanted to help people like my father. Even though I had the grades to go to medical school, due to financial constraints, I devoted myself to studying and extracurricular activities. I decided to work right after high school. Although I couldn't be a doctor, I was determined to be involved in the medical field and focused on job hunting there. Getting a job in the medical industry with only a high school diploma was challenging. My first choice was a well-known local medical device manufacturer called Johnson Manufacturing, but I ended up at another medical device manufacturer that had dealings with them. It wasn't Johnson Manufacturing, but it was a reasonably sized company, and I was honestly thrilled to have landed a job in the medical industry, which was my dream. "Bob, I got an offer from Johnson Manufacturing." I'll never forget the look on Mike's face as he ran up to tell me that. I had a classmate named Mike. Like me, he grew up in a single-mother household and, after high school, aimed to work in the medical field, so we job hunted together. At that time, Mike got a job at Johnson Manufacturing, which I had always admired. "Really, good for you." I said that to Mike, but deep down, I felt a pang of jealousy. When I was getting rejection notices, Mike was getting job offers. I felt like I couldn't compete with him, but deep inside, I wanted to surpass him someday. 3 years flew by since I joined the company straight out of high school. I got the hang of my job around this time, and a guy named Jake became the manager of my department. Manager Jake, who joined right after college, was decent at his job, and people, both in and outside the company, spoke highly of him, but behind the scenes, he looked down on me for coming from a single-parent household and not having a college degree. "Hey, do you really think Bob, a high school grad from a single mom's home, can handle such an important task?" Jake would say this so often, and he'd whisper so only I could hear. It was very annoying. Although it's true that I came from such a background and didn't go to college, I never retorted. But Jake seemed to take my silence as consent, belittling me daily. I tried not to let it bother me, but enduring it day after day was stressful. One evening, I decided to invite Mike out for drinks. At our usual bar, while I was venting about Jake and our company, Mike just quietly sipped his drink. Despite being with the company for the same amount of time as me, Mike had already become the youngest department head in Johnson Manufacturing's history. The company had a strong focus on nurturing young talents. I envied him, seeing how we both had similar backgrounds, but he had climbed the corporate ladder so much faster just because he joined a different company. "Man, you are so lucky, becoming a department head," I said, a bit drunk. Mike replied, "Bob, do you realize how much time you waste by just talking and complaining? What? Instead of doing this, you should focus on your work and act." That's how I got where I am. I plan on climbing even higher. With that, Mike grabbed the bill and left the bar. I muttered, "What's with him?" However, I knew what Mike said was true. Even as I complain like this, time continues to march on. He probably spent these kinds of moments thinking about work. This made me think, I need to step up my game if I want to move up too. but I felt something was off about Mike's demeanor. Back in high school, when we were job hunting, he had this genuine spark in his eyes. We used to motivate each other by saying, "Let's give it our all, no matter what happens." Now, there was a slightly intimidating aura about him. One day, I was heading to the office. We had a big meeting lined up with a potential client introduced to us by one of our trusted partners. Everyone in the department was excited, along with the CEO, thinking that they might be able to gain a new business partner. The team for this meeting was me, Manager Jake, and our CEO. As I walked, I suddenly heard a woman's voice from a nearby alley shouting, "Let go of me." Then, a voice that almost screamed, "Let go," continued. I rushed towards the voice and found a man in a black tracksuit grabbing a girl's arm. On closer inspection, she was in a school uniform. "Come on. No, let me go. Hey, stop it." I sprinted over and pulled the girl away from him. The guy clicked his tongue in annoyance and ran away. I was more concerned about the girl than chasing him. "Thank you so much for helping me." Looking at her, I realized she wore the uniform of a prestigious local school. "Are you okay?" "Yes, I was just walking when he suddenly grabbed me. I don't know how to thank you." I continued to reassure the visibly shaken girl. After calming her down, I suggested she call someone trustworthy to pick her up. She said, "My ride will be here soon." When I told her, "I'll stay with you until they come," she looked relieved. We then headed to the main street, and while chatting, her cell phone's notification sound rang out. Seems like the person picking her up was nearby. Well, I thought of heading to work, but then she said, "I really want to thank you. Can we exchange contact information? Please, you helped me so much. I really want to thank you properly." But well, honestly, the idea of me, a grown man, exchanging numbers with a high school girl felt a bit odd. Besides, getting thanked by a high school girl for, I hesitated, but as I had to get to work, I decided to just hand her my business card. "Here's my card, but seriously, don't worry about today." Wait, this company is. Anyway, gotta go. I hurriedly left the scene. Of course, by the time I got to work, I was extremely late and was ready to be scolded. When I arrived, the CEO and Jake were talking. The moment they saw me, "Bob, why are you late on such an important day?" Jake yelled. "I had some circumstances. I'm truly sorry." I bowed, but the CEO looked troubled. "Bob, since Jake and I will handle things today, you should head home." "But why? Do you really expect us to trust someone who's late on such an important day? Just go home. Be ready to lose your job." I mean, yes, I was late, but, Bob, please think about your actions for a bit. Getting yelled at by a red-faced Jake, I handed over the business documents I'd prepared to them and just left the company. I might be fired at this rate. From my point of view, I'd simply done what any decent person would. However, to the CEO and Jake, who didn't know the circumstances, I was just some guy who came in late. Even if I explained in detail, I wasn't sure they'd believe me. The fact that I'd been punctual without any absences up until now might have made this tardiness especially significant in the CEO's eyes. Lost in my thoughts at home, my work phone rang. The incoming number wasn't registered, but thinking it might be work-related, I answered. "Hello, Bob speaking." "Is this Bob? I'm the girl you helped earlier." I recognized the sweet voice and immediately thought of the high school girl. "Oh, from earlier. Thank you so much for helping me earlier." "No worries. Did you get home safely?" "Yes, I met up with the person picking me up soon after and got home safely." "That's good. Just be careful, okay?" As I was about to end the call. "Wait, are you at your office right now?" "No, I'm at home." "Then, I'd really like to come over to thank you." She sounded enthusiastic. "Really, it's okay. I just did what anyone would have." But then she said, My dad really wants to thank you in person. Your dad. If it's all right, may we come to your place right now? Although I hesitated, it seemed like if her dad was insisting, refusing further might just be a never-ending cycle. So I agreed. After sharing my address and ending the call, about an hour later, my doorbell rang. Opening the door, I found a middle-aged man in a black suit. I thought for sure that the high school girl was there, so I said in a stupid voice, "Huh? Are you Bob?" "Yes, that's me." "Please wait while I call for her and the CEO," he said as he opened the door to the back seat of a high-class black car that you would never see in a residential area around here. The high school girl and a dignified-looking man in a suit stepped out. Just the man's presence changed the atmosphere, making me instinctively straighten up. Where have I seen this man before? I invited them in, saying, "Please come in." Feeling glad I'd spent an hour cleaning, I served them some coffee. "Bob, I'm sorry for the sudden visit." "It's fine. I just didn't expect you'd come all the way here. My dad really wanted to thank you." She looked at the man beside her. "I knew it, he's her father." "Thank you for helping my daughter. I'm truly grateful." The man bowed. "No, I'm glad that your daughter is safe. I never imagined my daughter would be targeted. I'm sorry for the trouble." A man suddenly handed me his business card. When I took it and looked, my eyes widened and I let out a surprised, "Huh?" On it was a name I hadn't expected at all. The next day, as soon as I got to work, I was called into the CEO's office. As I approached, to my surprise, Jake was with the CEO. Then, the CEO told me I was being transferred to a regional sales branch. "Bob, starting tomorrow, I'm thinking of having you go to the regional branch." "CEO, is this a demotion?" "Well, you can take it that way if you want. We can't keep problematic employees at the headquarters, please understand." Hearing those words, I flashed my brightest smile. "That's perfect, thank you. Instead of a demotion, you can just fire me." "What?" The CEO's eyes went wide at my words. Smiling, I took an envelope out of my bag. "Actually, I've been thinking of resigning. Here's my resignation letter." "Resigning?" "Yes, I've already secured my next job." "Where are you?" Before he could finish, I interrupted. "There's someone here who'd like to meet the CEO." I then opened the door and let the person in. CEO and Jake were once again in shock. "Mr. Johnson." Yes, this man was the CEO of Johnson Manufacturing. The high school girl I helped yesterday turned out to be Lisa, the only daughter of the CEO of Johnson Manufacturing, whom I had always admired. He came to express his gratitude directly. Even though Lisa is still in high school, she's in line to be the next CEO of Johnson Manufacturing. So he was truly grateful that I helped his only daughter and future CEO, Lisa. He thanked me several times. "My daughter showed me your business card, and when I saw the company name, it seemed familiar. I'd like to expand our business with the company you're working for. Of course, I'd specifically like you to be in charge." "I appreciate the offer, but the thing is..." I then recounted the events of today, explaining that I might get fired. After hearing this, CEO Johnson asked if I could accompany him to the company the next day. "I heard you're thinking of letting such a great employee go. What on earth are you thinking?" That's why I brought him with me today. Neither the CEO nor Jake could keep their mouths shut at the appearance of CEO Johnson, whom they had not expected. But this Bob has shown poor professionalism, and just the other day he was late. That's why we were thinking of this relocation. He was late yesterday because he was helping my daughter when she was in trouble. But what about his alleged poor professionalism? Well, he tends to slack off and supposedly takes credit for others' work. Did you see this yourself? No. Jake reported it to me, right? The CEO glanced at Jake, who shifted uncomfortably, murmuring, "Well, you see. Do you really believe he'd act like that?" "No, Bob has always been a hard-working guy since he joined." "Then why judge him this way and plan to demote him?" You are thinking of relocating Bob based solely on hearsay. The CEO squirmed, clearly uncomfortable. CEO Johnson sighed. It's unfortunate Bob isn't being evaluated fairly. If this is how you feel, I think he'd be a good fit at our headquarters. And so, I left my old job and began working at Johnson Manufacturing, a place I had always admired. Lisa was thrilled, and Mike gave me a friendly challenge. You won't outdo me. There's a significant difference in scale and staffing between my old job and Johnson Manufacturing, so I knew I had to give it my all to keep up. Every day was a grind. A few months later, the guy who assaulted me got arrested. Lisa called out to me. Really? Who was he? Some 20-year-old guy I've never met. You don't know him? No, I saw the photos, but I've never seen that person before. The police also seemed to suggest that the culprit was just following orders from someone. Someone. Who could it be? He said he got the job offer in DM after posting on social media about being willing to do anything for money. He's never met the person who gave him the instructions, and they only communicated via social media. That means there's a mastermind behind the attack on Lisa. I wondered if it might have been a rival company, but I couldn't come up with anyone like that. Time flew by, and both Mike and I continued to work at Johnson Manufacturing. I got promoted and became a department head. Meanwhile, Mike made even bigger strides, becoming an executive. Ever since I started here, I've been amazed at Mike's capabilities. The CEO has always been fond of Mike's work and intelligence. Now, Mike has become something of a right-hand man to the CEO. I also strive to keep up with him, working hard every day. Lisa graduated from high school and enrolled in a state university. She's now in her senior year. She's set to join Johnson Manufacturing next year and has told us about her determination to work hard. For now, she's enjoying her final year in college. In fact, Lisa and I have become quite close. Once she started coming to the office, we naturally began to interact more, and it didn't take long for us to get along well. Of course, we started dating after she graduated high school. I was thinking how great it would be if I could support her in both her personal and professional life. But then one day, I got a call saying Lisa had been attacked again. During the attack, Lisa fought back fiercely. In the process, she was pushed by the assailant, fell, and broke her arm. But the noise drew attention, and the attacker was arrested on the spot. To my shock, the perpetrator turned out to be Jake. My previous company, which I had left, had gained a bad reputation for the CEO's misjudgments and had lost many of its clients. Though not bankrupt, the company had significantly downsized. Jake was laid off, blamed for the company's declining reputation. He was struggling to make ends meet with odd jobs. Then, someone handed him a bundle of cash and asked him to attack someone. He was told that if he succeeded, he might even get a job at Johnson Manufacturing. So, he attacked Lisa. Soon after this revelation, a cop appeared in front of Mike and me. "Mike, we'd like you to come to the station with us." Mike went with the police and didn't come back. That day, Mike was arrested. It turns out that Mike was the one who told Jake to attack Lisa, and the one who had previously asked him to attack Lisa in a back alley. "I really wanted to become the CEO of Johnson Manufacturing," he said. "Why did you do it?" I asked when I visited him. "If you become CEO, you'll get a lot of money, right?" Mike's family ran a small business. His father had fallen ill and couldn't get proper treatment because they didn't have enough money. I remembered Mike lamenting this over drinks once. If she was out of the picture, I could have become the CEO. And it's true. If Lisa hadn't been set to take over, Mike would have been the most likely candidate. He was that good. "With more money, I could have everything," he said with a smirk. I couldn't feel sympathy for the man in front of me, having done what he did for such selfish reasons. I never saw Mike again after that visit. A few years later, Lisa became CEO, and I currently work as an executive. With Lisa's youthful ideas, Johnson Manufacturing has grown as a bigger medical device company. Our sales are skyrocketing, and the company is thriving. Lisa and I got married and now have 3 children. We're living a truly happy life, with both our work and home life going smoothly. Even now, I always think about how things could have been different if Mike hadn't gone down that path. But he made his choices. He had plenty of time to rethink them. But I'll never forgive him for hurting Lisa for his own desires. Every time I see Lisa smile, I'm genuinely grateful she's safe. I feel it's my duty to mentor my subordinates and children so they never make choices like Mike did. I hope they'll grow up to help those in need. Who knows, they might have a dramatic turn in their life, just like mine.